Z to the Lee, I see you talking about drinking coriander. Of course, we've all popped some nice ice cold corianders over here. Z to the Lee, I see you talking about drinking coriander. Oh God, no, you can hear me again. Nice Sorry, God, it's going to be a nightmare for your ears for a full second. Oof, incredibly disorienting.
Did you open the stream?
Yes, I did open the stream, 100%. I am going to attempt to fix some things, but I mean, yeah, if you guys are talking about the game, yeah, classic. If you've seen any LBLCS, you know. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, carry on, folks. God, I mean, what was it like?
Yeah.
I saw only snippets of that game, but wow.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna just get back into that. Thank you for coming in, LaChance. You have given me a second to breathe after what was just an intense game. So both teams playing really even. What would you like to see here in the second game on the side of maybe draft changes, execution changes? What would you like to see teams to maybe sneak a game on the second one?
Yeah, so I mean, having watched that game, I feel like if you're the Silver Drillers, you really don't want to see that Caitlyn again. Maybe that's just me, but I think that was the bane of your existence in the laning phase and in team fights. So maybe you want to get that one out of there. I think THC, I really don't know, because I'm trying to identify what caused the problems that were pick specific in that game. And I don't know if there was a pick from the side of Silver Drillers that came out that really really sealed the deal or not. It's so hard to tell given how close that last game was.
Yeah, so I think one thing that they could look towards is maybe a little more scaling in one of the solo lanes. Maybe not having the three winning lanes can be very good, but if you are unable to close out in situations like that, can be very difficult for teams to try to play that style and get over that last hurdle with champs like Pantheon and Volibear, who do end up falling off towards the later end of things. So maybe take a little bit of a gold cut early, not take the Pantheon or the Volibear, pick something more tanky or pick something that can frontline better, because overall it just seemed like when it came down to some in-game team fights, I mean, they were able to pull some of them out, but Silver Drillers won enough team fights that they were able to get themselves in a place where they could do that backdoor. So, I mean, you also said that this team is very adept at playing through bottom lane, being able to play through their AD carry like they did this game. And I would say maybe even look to empower your AD carry with two aggressive picks in the top and mid lane, and then maybe play a scaling AD carry, something like a Jinx, something like a Kog'Maw or a Twitch, even just being able to get him very fed and to where he can carry you at the end of the game. Whereas the Caitlyn has some struggles with getting caught out. But overall, I think both compositions looked pretty good and did exactly what they wanted to. It just ended up in the even execution. The Orianna was able to find that clutch moment to be able to TP in and backdoor, and that ended up making all the difference, to be honest. Very good play.
Yeah, I am still recovering from that. I'm very excited to see what happens next. But wow, that just...
Oh, sorry. Apollo.
Yes.
We need to get invited.
Figured it out. Someone has to drop a spectate for me. Some nice, wonderful person playing this game who's watching the stream right now.
Great. All right, Apollo, you should have that.
I do. Yep, there it is. I am now in. I'm excited. I need to go to spectate real quick.
Excellent. Look at that.
That was clean. We're improving quite a bit. But yeah, overall, I'm just super excited to see what they get into in game 2. Regardless of how game 1 went, it's time for these players to put it away. It's time for them to put it in the back of their mind and look at this game here and focus up and see if they can take this one home.
Yeah, and I think that if you're on the side of THC, you have to be beating yourself up right now. It is just so sad to have done so well and lost like that. But you got to focus on the fact that you did some really great things that game. By 10 minutes, it was 7-1, and you were smashing on that goal differential, and they really were playing to their strengths. So we'll just have to see if they can recuperate and really pull that through again this game, or just figure out how they want to play this one and what they want to change. And with that said, would you rather see THC pull out that aggressive comp again and try and execute it on it a second time, or do you think it would be nicer just to try and see them outscale?
I think there's a comfortable middle ground there, but I mean, it could go either way here. Honestly, I wouldn't hate them playing that over-aggressive, not over-aggressive, the aggressive early game comp that game. Just run it back. It looked good. Clean up those mid-game fights, and they'll be fine. I think they played a little bit too much for the team fight and not enough for the pick phase. So if they play for those picks there, and they're able to get them, they should be good. I say run it back. I mean, they looked amazing, especially the Caitlyn. If there was ever a time for a salty run back, like full salty run back, it's right now.
I think you're right. I do think it's better for them to stick with the comp they just played. With that said, I don't know if it's a good idea to make it a salty run back specifically, because with an aggressive comp like that, you don't want to see them overextend on their resources. But it is worth pointing out there has been a sub on the part of THC, and they are now putting ODog in the mid lane. I do not know.
A little more scaling here, not certain.
Yeah, I don't know either. But we are seeing the same bands come out from the side of Silver Drillers. It looks like we're seeing the same bands out of.
I do not currently have the link.
Oh, if you look over here, I'll repost it in that. But if you scroll up, it should be there.
If you join after a link is
right. Yes, the posts are thrown into the oblivion.
Yeah. So anyway, now that that's handled, it looks like same bans from both sides, and it looks like Silver Driller is going to be the one to prioritize the Caitlyn this side, now on blue side, and it will be the Ashe answer from THC. This is really common stuff right now for bot lane. This is seen all the time as these two champions are just dominating in this role.
Yeah, I really like the Ashe pick from THC too. And I also really like the fact that we are just showcasing how low budget we are, as we have the Glacial Inferno symbol above Silver Drillers and the Frank's Little Beauty symbol above the Happy Canadians. But,
all right, ha. Let's point out how the chants did a bad. I get it.
I wasn't putting any blame anywhere. I was just going to compliment how beautiful those icons were, okay?
You know what? You're right. I'm sorry. I went negative. Yeah. You went up. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So we see that Ashe and Olaf come out.
Ooh, Kha'Zix. That's a little spicier. Olaf versus Kha'Zix in the jungle. That's going to be a pretty hype matchup, because it will be the Thresh locked in. So mirrored picks here. Going to pick bot support and the jungler. So let's see what probably more solo lane bans coming out here. Oh, 10 solo lane bans.
Teams just want to raise my blood pressure. Swear to God. The Soraka, the Kha'Zix, the Olaf, the Thresh, there's just so many playmakers here. And I don't know if my heart can handle it.
Yeah, honestly, like at the beginning of the last game when we were pick ban, I was feeling very analytical, like a bit of a five-head myself, talking about everything. But now we get to this point in the game, and I'm just so hyped from last game that I'm just like, come on, pick them. Let's get into it. Let's run it back. I'm excited to see this action here, but it looks like the Volibear will be taken off the table from THC, as that is the first ban we've seen come out at a champ that they played last game.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see what comes out of the top lane of THC. I feel like a lot of the top laners I'm used to seeing are gone. In fact, the five that I am most familiar with Dutch Crampers playing are gone. And so I'm really curious to see what comes out. That's true.
The Shin even taken away, so it may be a Sion pick coming through for one of these teams as THC hits them with a classic no ban for good measure.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh, that was a
Casio.
Casio we have updated in the chat.
Casio ban. Production has just alerted me that it was
Classic
Casio
Pro
here.
Draft. The only thing more
personally
low
like
budget
the
than the low budget LCS.
I personally like the idea of the BM no ban, but it will be
I
a
do
Casio.
too, but I think the Casio band's smarter, and I do like that Wukong pick coming out. I was gonna say that I wanted a Renekton. I wanted something aggressive. Wukong does serve up on that, even though it's not the Renekton I was looking for. And I really would like to see how Dutch executes on this in the game, because it's not a pick I have seen him on before. Now Gragas is locked in.
Yeah, the fat drunk man coming in the jungle.
That's not
Excited
the
to see
jungle.
him get into the action here. Or wait, no, he's in
Where's the
top
top
lane.
lane?
Never mind. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on. My brain's low budget right now, because we're gonna look to get the next pick here. It looks like Gragas top. Interesting pick. Could be a Gragas mid as well, though. We'll have to see when we get here. It will be a blind pick Victor in the mid lane. Of all the things I expected to be picked, that was probably not it. But excited to see that champ get some action again, as it will be really no tank on the side of Silver Drillers here.
Yeah, now with that said, they have the Gragas, who can build defensive items, and they have the Soraka, who can keep people alive, but you're right, they really don't have someone like the Scion or the Hecarim that they did last game. And I have to say, the Kassadin pick is exactly what I wanted to see from THC right here, because just abusing the Victor blind pick, setting up for another assassin, is just very smart call. With that said, I return to the previous point that both of these teams are trying to raise my blood pressure.
Yeah,
there are
one thing
three assassins in this match, and two of the most all-out brawlers in the game.
Yeah. It is a little interesting, though, seeing some scaling in the mid lane from both teams, though. This Kassadin, we talked about possible scaling for the side of THC. I feel like this team comp fits a little better into that style than the more early aggression. You do have the Olaf, you have the Wukong, but if things aren't snowballed by 25, 30 minutes, I feel like this composition from the Happy Canadians will be able to still fight at that point in the game with the Kassadin, with the Ashe.
Yeah, and I think that it's a very nice adaptation from THC to see them, pick stuff that is still satisfies that early aggression, but also will allow them to win fights a little more handily as things advance. Now, with that said, Silver Drillers did get the Caitlyn this time, which I think completely changes the bot lane matchup. As much as I like Soraka as a pick, because it's insane to watch Soraka in fives, I'm not sure how much I actually like it in the context of the bot lane matchup, especially since THC picked the Thresh in response. So we're going to have to see who capitalizes more, and if THC is able to take that Soraka down early. And as I say that, it looks like we're going to get a few more minutes because something went wrong with pick and bans. But, what else do you expect from the LELCS?
Yep, it happens, but we've got plenty to talk about here. So I personally agree with you. I think the Soraka's was a little bit of an odd blind pick here. Soraka is going to be very vulnerable to stuff like an Olaf gank, like a Thresh coming in especially. Thresh could punish that Enchanter-style support really hard, as well as Ashe, who has a debatably favorable matchup into Caitlyn. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. It plays out in a lot of different ways, whether that be competitive or your average gold solo queue game. You never know what you're going to get out of Caitlyn Ashe bot lane, other than that the two are equally oppressive and annoying.
Yeah, and I have to say, I really liked every single one of Silver Driller's picks on an individual level, but I'm worried about seeing it come together. I don't know where the glue is that's going to allow them to win team fights. All I can see is them winning on an individual in their individual lanes. That said, I think Soraka is the gorilla glue of all things having to do with possible team comps. She can just sew anything together. But you have to get Soraka to that point of strength if you want that to happen. And I think the things like the Thresh, things like the Wukong are going to make that look very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally really love the comp on the side of THC. I think this is like textbook League of Legends composition right here. You have two great top side, strong early game. You have a scaling mid. You have a pretty decent scaling bot matchup that's favorable for your strong AD carry. And on the side of Silver Drillers, I just struggle to see how if we get to 30 minutes and say it comes down to something like last game where they have to force onto the objective. I don't know if Gragas is going to be able to start off that fight like a Scion and a Hecarim was able to. So the Thresh and the Ashe is always a fight starting button for the side of THC. So I'm feeling their composition this game. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think all characters on Silver Drillers I'm just terrified of on a personal level. They all strike fear to my heart, but looking at THC's composition, I'm much more scared of their ability to work as a team, and the things that those 5 champions can pull off.
Yeah, and overall, so one thing I want to look at here is the Kha'Zix here. Very interesting pick. Going away from what did they play in the jungle last game? They played Hecarim. So going away from the Hecarim, some of that engage, and they're going onto the Kha'Zix and a straight assassin pick. So what do you think is a good target for this Kha'Zix in this early mid game?
I think Kha'Zix is a very good pick because it's one of the few junglers that really has a chance to standing up to Olaf early. There are things that Kha'Zix can do, and being isolated is scary for everyone, including Olaf. And so I think it allows them to challenge that Olaf early. But in terms of who Kha'Zix goes for, I'm really not sure. I have to imagine that you look to pressure the top lane more than anything, because at least Gragas gives you an avenue for your engage. But I'm worried that THC is going to be looking for the same thing. Olaf is probably going to look to Wukong in order to get a good setup for a gank and an early kill. And I don't think that Kha'Zix wins in those 2v2 situations, especially compared to an Olaf. But I guess I never know. And I think it really just depends. We have to see what choices the players make. I could be totally wrong. They could both go bot side or do something completely different. Or Olaf might just power farm.
I wouldn't hate seeing the Olaf just power farm, maybe throw a couple bottom lane ganks in there to get your Ashe and Thresh ahead. That is so much gank setup in that lane with the slows, with the hook and the flay. It's so nasty, so nasty. But yeah, that is interesting. So I've never seen Gragas Wukong, but I feel like Gragas is probably a decent answer into Wukong. With the amount of AoE he has, should be able to ignore some of the invisibility cheats that Wukong can throw out. How do you feel about that matchup?
I would generally agree. I think that having the Q on Gragas just helps because that's a lot of range that allows you to do some things like snipe some CS if you're behind or get some harass. The ability, like that slight sustain that Gragas has, is also super useful. But I think the biggest thing in Gragas' kit that helps deal with Wukong is just the E. Because if Wukong tries to go for anything sneaky with his invisibility, as soon as he reappears, you can just immediately bump into him with the E, or get out with the E. And, that's a very difficult situation then for the Wukong, who, trying to take advantage of invisibility, was hit with CC first.
Yeah, and it is really good that E is very good at denying a lot of that melee from Wukong. And also the ultimate could be huge in splitting up some of these members, but going to be hard to hit that into Olaf ult. You've got Wukong clone could make it trickier to hit some of those skill shots. And then you have Kassadin Riftwalk. So overall, it's going to be hard for them to long-term lock down characters on the side of THC. But okay, let's take a look at the mid lane here. We got Victor into Kassadin. New mid laner on the side of THC, same one on the side of Silver Drillers. What are we feeling here?
I like the Kassadin pick. I think it's possible, especially depending on the pressure that Kha'Zix applies, that Victor's able to get a lead over the Kassadin, because Kassadin's early game as most people know, is not the greatest. But he's into another AP carry who has a weak early game, and he will have the ability to like farm and scale and do certain things. So I think that the Cassidy's a very good pick, especially considering someone's going to have to get on top of that Soraka and do something about her. With that said, I do think there are still things that Victor could do to take that lane, and I think it depends on mana management and how he decides to harass the Cassidy. And I think if I were him, I want to see a lot more Qs and auto attacks out of Victor in the laning phase for harass than I do want to see E's. Because I don't think E is going to be as effective mana-wise or damage-wise. But you never know. I'm not a Victor player. I can't lie.
Yeah, and I agree that E is the typical max in the mid lane, but it pre first upgrade, that E is a little weak into the Kassadin. And personally, I just can't help but doing like a perfect sign, like that little okay sign with my hands whenever I saw this Kassadin get locked in. Just such a good pick, really rounded out this comp well. So as we are loading in, I want to go ahead and get your prediction. Since I went first last time, you go this time.
All right, yeah, sure. I think this one, I mean, we saw how close last game was, and I think both of us had a little trouble choosing who it was. I think this one's a lot harder to choose. But in the end, I definitely still land in the camp of THC. I really like what they did with pick and bans. I think that they have a very solid comp going into this. And, last game they showed that they can execute the win condition of their comp quite well. They knew they had to snowball when they had an early comp last game. And so I think they're going to know what to do when they go into this one. And presuming that, they've kept their mental after that awful ending last game. I think they can take this handily.
Yeah, I am going to agree with you here. I'm also picking DHC. I think that their comp looks really good this game. I like their scaling. I like the overall lane matchups. I feel like they win at least 2 out of 3 of these matchups, but it still can go any way, and I'm really excited to get into this game, man. Oh, if it's anything like last game, I gotta go have another sip of water. It's gonna be a long one here.
Yeah.
In the meantime, while he steps away, No Name, did you see that your bribe arrived in chat?
Yes, I did see that my bribe arrived. I'm quite pleased that my false bribe for money that I am never going to receive did in fact come into Twitch chat in the form of 100 bits.
100 bits. It's a price that needed to be paid.
Apparently so. Now, with that said, while I have you here, LeChance.
Oh yes.
What are your thoughts on this game so far?
I think this game is, last game was just a buck wild bangarang, thrown all over the place. I'm all bruised up in my elbows and my shoulders, and it was just a fantastic ride. In terms of who wins this, I don't know. I believe that within Chaos resides opportunity, and I think either of these teams can grab that by the neck and get what they need out of it. So, yeah, I'm not going to say anything hard and fast. I'm going to go right down the middle and come out looking pretty smart no matter what happens.
That was William LeChance Shakespeare
Yep.
coming in with all that game, but
I won't
looks like we are loading onto the Rift.
I will not stop you from playing both sides of who's going to win, but I will ask you to come down on who wins the skin game.
Who wins the skin game? God, what an important question. And it is something that determines the actual outcome of the match. Dang, I do like that Soraka skin is just so adorable. And I love the wings when it runs. But I honestly didn't look at I did a bad job. I didn't look at all of the skins here. But what I'm looking at right now, I think that Soraka looks real nice. So I'm going to go with them. Also, you'll notice that there are no plates. Normally, we would have the teams on top. There would be numbers indicating who had won the most recent game. Once again, LeChance made an oopsie. And that's not going to be there for this game. I take the responsibility squarely.
That is A-okay. I do have to agree. I took a look at the THC skins for you. They do have some good ones. They have Project Ash.
Oh, Project Ash is so cool. She rides a motorcycle. Hopefully she wears a helmet when she rides that motorcycle. But I also love Ash. It's my favorite champion, and she's so cool, and she freezes people.
Yeah. But other than that, they just have the Barbecue Olaf, and they have no skin on their Caston or Wukong. So I think you do take this between the Darkstar Kha'Zix and the Jama Soraka and Pool Party Caitlyn. I think they take that side of the game. Now, with that said, I am mildly disappointed on an actual note that THC did not decide to invade here. I feel like between the Ash and the Thresh, they had what was needed to have a successful invade, and that it could have given them the early lead they needed in any of their given lanes. So I'm a little disappointed, but either way, no bad starts for either side. Everyone just going to lane and chilling. What do you think the play is for the junglers here, Apollo?
The play, I mean, it looks like Olaf's going to probably go for the 6 camp clear. He's just going to path towards that top side as both junglers are. It looks like Kha'Zix is going to go for the blue buff, which this does not give him level 3, but that's going to be a hook onto the Soraka. The exhaust is already down. She's flashing out. The Guardian's going to come in soon, and that should shield her up, but that's a flash and the exhaust off the Soraka for the Ignite of Thresh. Back to the jungle question. I think that it looks like Kha'Zix is just going to try to rush level 3, but he is getting quite low, as Olaf is already getting a little bit of a tempo lead, as expected in that matchup.
Yeah, and I really think that that skirmish we saw bot lane is very important. You know, we're moving both Summers from Soraka with a very good hook there. If they can land another hook like that, particularly with a level advantage, that's Soraka, and that's the lead that you need in this lane on the side of the Happy Canadians. So let's see if they can execute on that.
Yeah, it was a really good play by the Thresh, knowing that level 2 timing on both sides, being able to get that hook off right as they dinged 2, while the opposing team was still level 1 from the Ash pressure. So able to get that, able to get some summoners out from that bot lane, and should have a lot of kill potential here if the lane resets.
Yeah, and we're seeing Katsuna go in on bot. They just fight all around the map.
Gank in the mid lane. Yeah, as Olaf acts not going to be able to land, they may be baiting in here, but the Kha'Zix shows himself. Looks like they're going to just try to focus the Olaf here as the Guardian comes in, but the Ash's damage is huge, and they're going to follow up 3 low health bars on the side of Team Silver Drillers, and the Ash is going rampant into this fight, but after all of that, nobody dies. As some really low health bars on every side, but nothing to come out of it.
So many flashes.
Sure.
Yeah, wow, okay. Also, thank you for skirting over the fact that I accidentally called Victor Volibear, but we're just going to move on from that.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
So, that fight was messy from both sides. But I like the initiative coming out from THC. I was definitely a little worried that Waffles was overextending with the Olaf there, especially since he was going into isolation against the Kha'Zix. But very well played by both bot lanes to respond. And I think Bopes was able to just deal out a lot of damage there. It's a shame he wasn't able to get that kill because of, well-timed heals from Soraka. But yeah, I mean, already a lot of action. Like I was talking about, never a dull moment. Both of these teams really want to show.
And one thing I would have liked to see there, the Kha'Zix showed him pretty early when he was off vision. They could have possibly gotten a pick on very low health Victor in that situation. And that could have possibly turned that fight completely around. But can't worry about what's happened in the past. And it looks like THC has about a 700 gold lead off of just farming so far, which is really nice to see from them.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'm sure a good bit of that is due to the Olaf, but I don't particularly know. It looks like they just have CS advantages pretty much everywhere but the mid lane. With that said, I think something that's influential, that's worth touching upon.
Oh, it looks like we have a little bit of a fight here. Kha'Zix's going to have to jump away, but no flash. He's going to get Chilling Smited. This Olaf should just burn him down. Victor going to try to slow up the Olaf here, and he gets stunned. The 1 HP, the Axe is going to barely be short. And it looks like Kha'Zix is going to be able to get away with the help of his mid laner, but he's going to look for a re-engage. Here's Kassadin getting the slow, but the Victor ult coming in should burn through the Zoloft here. First blood for the Victor, as the Kha'Zix is going to go back in, and a quick double kill for the side of Silver Drillers on that mid-jungle synergy, looking very good so far.
That is a very, very sad outcome for THC. All those minions are going to die, and no one's going to pick up the experience, and now you have to worry about Victor scaling up earlier than usual. And I think the saddest part of that fight is that you just didn't predict the random level up from Victor from the death of a nearby minion. That completely turned that fight. So, you know, they're going to have to fight to come back from that. I was going to say, you know, before that fight broke out, something we're going to have to watch in the mid lane is that Kassadin's close to 6, and if they, you know, let him, if he gets 6 while Victor's flash is still down, then that will be a big problem. But that did not come true. The fight happened before Kassadin turned 6, and now he will not really have the same power to push that advantage.
Yeah, now looking at the items, we can see Wukong having so much of a CS lead that he's basically keeping the gold even. But looking at the mid lane, the Victor already picking up that first upgrade, so able to probably get the laser upgraded, which should help him shove in that mid lane pretty easily. But it looks like THC will be able to pick up this dragon here. That's good to go ahead and get that Ocean Drake early on. Next Drake will be Mountain, so excited to see where they go with that one. It could be either Infernal or Cloud, so...
Yeah, and I mean, as we saw last game, THC really does put the priority on those dragons, and they have the Olaf to press that early. Seen a bit of a skirmish in the mid lane, but it seems like they're both going to back off in friendly competition.
Victor's sitting on 4 pots in this laning phase already, and not popping any of the... He popped one, never mind, I sound dumb. But, yeah, really just looking to sustain out this lane and trade as much as he can as the Victor ult comes down, and this is going to be a solo kill for the Victor, already 2-0, looking very clean there, as 2 people tried to converge on the mid lane, but the Victor got out quite quickly, now sitting with a bounty and a little bit of an early game gold lead for Silver Drillers.
Yeah, I think that was a little overzealous from Kassadin there. As we saw, his allies were still getting into position for the setup, and you know, by pressing the R in early, he really didn't have the damage to take out the Victor, but with the wave there...
The Ash Arrow lands onto the Caitlyn, going to be followed up with the stun here from the Thresh, the flash into the Flay though, but the Caitlyn trap's going to dissuade anything else as the exhaust and the flash coming out of the bot lane for the side of Silver Drillers for nothing but the ultimate of the Ashe. So really big win there for their bottom lane, able to get a lot of those crucial cooldowns there.
Yeah,
as you
but
champ select, that E from the Gragas is paying dividends in that top side.
yeah, but with that said, I feel like it's worth noting with the use of the Ashe ult that the other side of the bot lane, Soraka still has yet to get her ult. And that could be very influential in any play that bot lane wants to make, or that THC wants to make anywhere around the map, which is really tough when they want to find a way out of this deficit that they're currently in.
It looks like we might have a little bit of a skirmish around the Rift Herald coming in, gonna knock him up, possibly coming at the ultimate here. Olaf ult gonna go in though, and Gragas is getting burnt down before he can even have anything to say about it. 2 level differential in the jungle, gonna be huge here as the Kassadin's going bot. He's going to look to trade back, and it will be just 1 kill for nothing on the jungler as the Victor trying to escape. Looks like he may be able to do so, possibly could have been axed there, but will not be. It looks like Olaf may just faint back towards this Rift Herald, as the Wukong gets very low, almost dies to the Victor death ray, but he's going to be able to make it out.
Yeah, and
Oh, he's going to jump back on him, but the Victor with the shield, but the Victor missed the ultimate. And the question mark pings coming down from his teammates. That's tough. Oh, you hate to see it.
That was such a nerve-wracking play from Dust there with the Wukong engage. That felt like a bad play, hands down. He was able to come out on top, but wow, I am just in shock.
I mean, to be honest, I think it was so unexpected that it actually threw him for a loop as the Kazakhs ult committed here, but only going to be used to get away now as the Olaf is going to match in that mid lane. But the level leads, big level lead for the jungler on the side of THC, but a 2-level lead in the mid lane for the side of Team Silver Drillers. So yeah, really look
And
a little bit of
you know,
differential on both sides.
with that last fight, the Wukong in the top lane is really pulling ahead. You know, that got him 2 kills. He has a 20 CS lead, and he's really going to be able to, you know, his items are not light years out of Gragas, but he definitely has a lead. And so we're going to have to see if he can do anything with that, especially considering that was a shutdown onto the Victor that he killed, making it a worthwhile trade for THC. But it looks like people are starting to congregate around bot side as they set up for this dragon.
Yeah, crucial second dragon coming in here. If you are able to deny that second dragon, it really can help you towards denying that eventual soul objective. But both teams scaling really well this game. The soul is a little less of an early priority. Like, you don't necessarily need it to snowball the game out of control at this time. Though, as the Olaf team, you would prefer to have it. But the Victor going to get hit by a nice arrow and going to be taken out. The Soraka ult comes in, though, and Victor's trying to run it out. The Guardian coming in, but that's just a dead Victor. The ult doing some big damage, but Soraka's going to be next on the menu. Ashe going to eat that up as Wukong TP's onto a trap. Caitlyn doing some damage to him, but it's going to be Kazakhs going down. It'll be Caitlyn going down, and it'll be the full ace for the side of THC as Ashe picks up a triple kill. And this should be a free dragon in this game. Just got a little bit harder for the side of Silver Drillers.
And that was beautifully executed from THC there. Everything from the Ashe arrow to the Wukong, you know, ultimates, really stepping up their game, showing them that a 3-kill Victor is not going to stop them, and that the Silver Drillers are going to have to find another way. Now, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I was just going to say, yeah, if they're able to fight like this with this kind of composition, with the scaling, I think maybe the scaling picks are a better look for them so that they can, if they're able to get this with champions that scale better into the late game, I think that's probably the best type of strategy for their team.
Yeah, and, you know, I just want to say, Infernal Soul, I think, you know, they had that last game, but if they could get that again this game, that is mighty scary for, you know, Victor, Kazakhs, Soraka. Especially when we're looking at picks like Wukong and Kassadin, the ability to just lay that much more base damage down upon first going in could prove to be a huge problem for Silver Drillers if they're not able to win those next crucial fights around Dragon.
Yeah, and they were able to last game, but unlike last game, it's crucial engage tools that they had. So it will be a little harder for them to find those same fight advantages that they were able to stall out the game last time with and eventually take it. But they are posturing around this bot lane, the junglers here, but the mid is roaming over as well for the side of THC. Looks like nothing's going to really happen there as some trading goes down in the top side, but really not much to be had there as the Gragas is going very tanky already, and the Wukong already is sitting on those Mercury treads, so should be pretty good. That Victor damage.
I do want to point out, Olaf had Rift Herald and did not drop it anywhere.
He actually did drop it bottom lane before the Drake, yes.
Oh, okay, I did not see that. That is my mistake.
He dropped it on a 4-plate tower, so he grabbed a couple of those plates, got a little bit of money for it, and took the dragon at the same time. As there will be a 3-level lead in the jungle for the Olaf, just running him down. Waffles this game is massive, with 108 CS already. Looking like an absolute unit on the Olaf.
Yeah, and this is getting scarier and scarier for the Silver Drillers. I did not realize the lead that Waffles had there. And I gotta say, I think a fed Olaf is one of the scariest things I have to face in League of Legends. So, I really want to see how Silver Drillers adapt around this. I think, you know, they have options, but they gotta be watching the jungle and figuring out how to
Ashe are gonna come down here onto the Soraka. Gonna get pulled in, but the Thresh rooted up. And they're going to use the Soraka ultimate, but this dive will go through, and that's a rampage of the Ashe here. Able to get that quick pick, beautiful ultimate and hook combo there from the bot lane of THC. Once again, looking really good, as Ashe has already picked up an Executioner's Calling, which proves huge into this Ardent Censer Soraka.
Yeah, very smart itemization for both there. I think that was really good fight. We're really seeing the hooks come out from Lonely. We haven't heard about Lonely a lot in either of these games, but he's really been vital for depriving the other bot lane of their sums. He keeps forcing them out of them, and it's just allowing both to exert so much more pressure, just all across the laning phase and across the map in general. So, really good on him.
He's playing some very solid League of Legends tonight in both games. Looked great on the Morgana last game, found a lot of clutch picks, had a lot of damage from the support role. So, and looking good on the Thresh this game as well. I like to see him on these playmaking style supports. I think it's a good look for him, being able to get these incremental lane advantages, as the Ashe gets a pretty big back off for about 50% attacks. And this lane's just going to get harder and harder. Except the Ashe is swapping mid here, possibly looking to take the mid turret down, or swap for the third dragon.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart call. It's going to allow them to push out mid and get ready for that next dragon, potentially threaten the tower. I think the problem is that Ashe does not currently have the support. She's really looking for it to be able to stand in that mid lane and not get caught or just blown up by Kha'Zix.
Yeah, it will be hard, but this Kha'Zix, I'm not sure blowing up anyone at this point, as the Kate's going to be stunned up and this Olaf is massive. Not yet popping the ultimate, going to hit the double axe, beautiful hit there, going to take it down. No ultimate needed, commits the flash, and they're going to grab 2 quick kills there, and probably this mid tower, as THC is looking even more unstoppable this game.
Yeah, and, as this advances, they're going to get this next Drake. They're going to be one away from Soul Point. 6k gold lead, looking quite similar to the gold lead from last game around this point. But like you said, this time their comp scales quite a bit better. And, they're going to be able to do more with it. Blue team not really able to get the vision they need on this, and I think
Kha'Zix's going to go in, and he is able to get the steal. Die for it, as Gragish is forced to flash as well. So it will be 1 kill for the dragon, so that does slow down the Infernal Soul quite a bit for them, but they could just look to turn straight onto this Rift Herald here. I thought Baron was up, but not just yet. Need about another minute for that.
Yeah, I mean, good on Kha'Zix to get the Drake there. It will slow them their approach to Soul, but I'm a little worried. I don't know if throwing away that map pressure was worth getting the Drake, because you're going to be able to get this Rift Herald, and they're going to be able to set up this side of the map for when Baron spawns in 45 seconds. So I'm a little worried about what that Dragon Steal actually means for Silver Drillers in the long run, but I mean, I'm impressed he was able to even do it, given all the members.
For the long run, that should be really beneficial, being able to get that Infernal Drake, get those adaptive stats for your team, but yeah, you are right. A little bit of map pressure seated. They did go the second Rift Herald, which is a lot weaker than the first Rift Herald, but still quite useful. Able to knock down some turrets with that, hopefully, for the side of THC. Able to get some Baron pressure, possibly, but yeah. Overall, things looking really good for them. About an 8k gold lead here. Took the entire outer ring of turrets. And gonna look to continue the snowball here. So once again, I had posed this question last game. It's a little harder to think through it this game, but what can Silver Drillers do to try to claw back in this game?
Yeah, I think Silver Drillers know better than me. I mean, they really showed me last game. I said some of the things they could do. They didn't really do it, and then they just took it. They didn't exactly run away with it, but they found exactly what they needed to do to win. And so I'm not totally sure, but I think what's important right now is just finding a way to safely farm up. And it's really hard with their composition, because so many of them have such little health. As you can see, even just trying to get into the top lane is proving extraordinarily difficult for this Kha'Zix and Soraka.
Yeah.
But if they could find the lane for this Kha'Zix, if they can, put Caitlyn and Soraka in the right space, they could be a lot more ready for some of these fights.
Oh, the Gragas ult's going to miss, and the Olaf's going to look to continue that fight, use the Unstoppable, but the Kha'Zix is forced to flash up against Wukong in the top lane. Overall, the hook onto the Soraka, going to take that with the Ashe, and that's an easy kick there. Waffles is on a rampage on the Olaf as the Rift Herald's going to charge, take down the turret, and the Wukong's onto the backline. This Caitlyn's surely going to die soon. Nope. Going to be able to get away, but she's hooked back into the team, going to get knocked down, and Bopes is dominating this game on the Ashe, 7-0-5. It looks like they've just maybe looking to crack the base here and go 1-1 in the series.
Yeah, and I think there is a bit of miscommunication on the side of THC there, trying to decide whether it is better to go for the inhibitor or for Baron. I like that they decided to go for the Baron column.
Well, the flash is in onto the Victor. That looks like the Wukong, he's going to go into the Soraka. Ultimate's going to keep him topped off, along with the heals are huge. Soraka's going to get hooked here. Ashe going to look to put in a little bit of damage, but that's going to be Wukong dead here. Could hurt a potential Baron take. As not much else is going to happen for that, but that's a good shutdown onto the Victor there.
Yeah, I mean, overall, very good play from THC. I think if they had made the call to take out that inhibitor a little more, in a little bit more of a unified manner, they might not have had to lose a guy there. But, I mean, at the same time, 3 kills, a tower, an inhib, I'm going to take that for 1 death.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, THC is by far ahead on that play, and they could look to even set up a vision around this next dragon, which is not Soul Dragon, thanks to a clutch smite, but still is going to be a very impactful take here for the side of THC, unless somehow, by some wizardry, this Kha'Zix makes it back into the pit and steals another one.
I wouldn't rule it out. He has shown that he can steal these drakes. He's done it in both games, and there's always a possibility. But I think it might be a little bit past that. Even if he's able to get the Drake and get out alive without flash, there's a 10k gold differential right now. Just even trying to fight at this dragon, just trying to position near this dragon is a terrifying concept. And they might not be able to see the gold, but that is a massive difference, especially considering the Wukong also has his teleport up, whereas the Soraka sitting in the top lane does not.
Yeah, and Soraka being in the top lane right now is very odd, because I feel like if you are going to have someone go match that top side push, you would want one of your TP having players like the Victor, like the Gragas up there, but instead putting the Soraka up there, and this should be a pretty free Drake pull. Looks like they're not necessarily willing to try to take it just yet, and doing something smart that they should have done the last couple times, which is make sure they have the support. Go get the vision. Go zone off the Kha'Zix. Make sure he can't get these clutch steals. If you just take your time, you're able to get these objectives. They're splitting topside. 11k gold lead almost for THC, and they are absolutely popping off this game, and really good to see this from teams in a series, and this bodes well for a possible tournament for them, is being able to get knocked down and get straight back up and beat a team like this is super good sign. It's really good for team morale as well. And the Ashe Arrow going to come down onto the Gragas, going to get hooked up as well. He's surely going to go down. Nope, going to flash out, get the Soraka up. Victor going to go and look to dissuade any further engage, but the Wukong is still pressuring this top side. An absolute monster on this champion, taking so much turret, or so many turrets.
Yeah, and, good job of getting out from the Gragas there, but I think that the more THC use these tools and grab these tools, take these tools away from the Silver Drillers, like the flashes, the more of a problem it is for Silver Drillers. Because Ashe, sure, they're missing that, engage tool now, but it's going to be that much harder to get away when you're in a pinch.
Yeah, and the Thresh Hook lands onto the Victor. They're looking to possibly finish this off as the killing spree for the Caston. goes straight in, gets those kills. As the double kill comes in, and he's looking like a monster at this point. Wukong going in, and the legendary Ashe, 8-0 and 7. Kassadin getting taken quite low, going to get taken out by Caitlyn. That's a shutdown there. And Gragas is back alive, but not looking like he's able to do much. And this will be a second inhibitor down as they let the Thresh tank that, but the Guardian saves him there. That was a close one, but it will be a 3-for-1, 2 inhibitors down on the side of Silver Drillers. And this one looks like it's looking rough.
Yeah. The goal differential, unlike last game, is only continuing to grow. There's so much pressure on the Silver Drillers base. I don't think they can respond to a Baron call here, which is what I think the Happy Canadians are walking towards. And I feel like Happy Canadians they know what they have to be doing to keep the pressure on, and they're doing it. So good on them.
Yeah, really able to just keep their foot on the gas this time, and it's been a good look for them. I like to see a team be able to come back, and they threw last game, but it's totally fine. Here, one moment.
Yep. So we are going to see THC go on this Baron, and
shoot.
we are. The Silver Drillers are rotating down, but the Baron's getting hurt relatively quickly. It's already down to 3,000 health, and they aren't even in the river yet. I think this one's squarely going to THC, and it is. And with that said, they're going to rotate to the mid and top lane, just apply pressure to the two other open inhibitors, and just push the Silver Drillers back into their base, force them into a fight. That will hopefully give THC the win.
Yeah, really looking to just close the door here, slam it shut in their face as the mid inhib does respawn. Going to be able to get that back. And just as soon as it comes back, it goes away again as that's taken. It looks like the third inhibitor is going to be taken topside here. And here it is, the last hold for Silver Drillers. I don't see a single way they make it out of this one, but if they do, you can color me impressed.
They need quite the victoral to do anything in this situation, I think.
Oh, yeah. And it looks like the first turret will go down as the Wukong goes stunned straight onto the Victor, and the Kassadin's going to blow him up, and that's going to be the second kill there coming in. Kassadin just going rampant on this team. Double kill for him, 3-for-0, and that will be the base coming in soon as they're going to dive the fountain, and the Wukong is not able to get it, but they are going to take the Nexus, and that will be a win for the Happy Canadians, able to take the series to 1-1. And overall, good-looking play from them in both games, but will be 1-1, and that's going to be huge for both of them. Getting those early wins in the season. So yeah, GG to both teams. Like to see the clutch play. I like to see the foot on the gas mentality. Getting to see both sides of that. But overall, super great games from both teams. Sorry, I'm sounding like a broken record right now. I've just been a little excited about this. But what did you think of that?
I'm going to be honest with you, Paolo. I have lots of opinions about P2, but all those opinions are irrelevant because I'm still not over Game 1.
Yeah, you're not over it.
So much to talk about. There's so much to process. Now, I will say, if you take a look at the damage charts, I think these have to be some of my favorite damage charts either, as every single person on THC except for Thresh is pretty much like within 1,000 damage of each other.
That's beautiful.
They all did their part to make this happen. Very impressive. Definitely a great showing from Dutch's Wukong. His scoreline may not show it, but he really made a lot of the plays that allowed them to get those early team fight wins that eventually snowballed into a 14k gold differential in that last base push. So very impressive from him. Very impressive from both teams overall.
Gentlemen, speaking of being impressed by these teams, we actually have the captain of the Silver Drillers available for an interview.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we will bring them up right now.
So which later is the
welcome to the desk.
Hello.
Yeah, what's up?
Nothing much. I'm chilling. I'm feeling good.
So I gotta ask you, first of all, emotionally, what was going on inside of your head? End of game 1, they win that Elder fight, you see your mid laner TPing into the base. What was the thought going through your head there?
So when I kind of into that fight, because essentially the idea was that I was the one who was going to jump over run over the Caitlyn traps, and then the rest of my team was going to be like, all right, and then we're going to use you as our meat shield. That didn't happen, so I jumped in, and we basically all died because Volibear got into the back line. And we saw, I don't remember who, I think it was Volibear was channeling TP to the next turn, and me and I think our ADC saw that the TP got canceled, and we just started yelling at Tony to TP in because we were like, come on, you got this. And yeah, that ended up happening. That was kind of a crazy moment.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild on our end, on your end. I bet it was crazy. So one thing I gotta say, you fell really far behind in the early game of that first game, but you stood strong with the scaling, able to get through that game. Sorry, my voice just completely gave out.
No problem.
What was it that was able to get you through that game?
I think it was a lot of kind of confidence and understanding what our champs did compared to theirs. It was we knew what specific mistakes we were making. The big one was that we knew that their ability to hard engage onto us was really difficult because they have Volibear ultimate, which if we actually were more patient, we definitely could have done something with that. And Pantheon, who doesn't after the first 15-20 minutes doesn't really do any damage. He was doing -1 to Orianna. So yeah, it was one of those things where we were we know that the later this game goes on, we have to worry about less and less characters on their team. Especially I was backing armor, even though I kind of built an adaptive helm and ran it down. Orianna was getting items. Lucian was getting items. Senna was getting items. Hecarim was getting strong. Everybody on our team was getting strong. It was just that we kind of started. We didn't play early game well either game, so it was just kind of doing better there.
Yeah, so I do want to touch a little bit on game 2 here. It was a little bit of a stomp going for the other team. So whenever you see a game like this, how do you as a team captain look and say, okay, this is how we're going to change what happened in this game. We're going to be able to defend against this next time.
Yeah, I think we very much know what our weaknesses are, and we know what our strengths are, and we know that we can team to int in the early to mid game, but we know if we don't, right? If we know that we'll give up these first 2 Drakes, we're very much a third, 4 Drakes in a row type of team. So we know that we can take the beating early game. It's just a matter of how bad we get beaten and whether or not we get back up as soon as the mid game really hits. So it's really just us kind of understanding how to roll with the punches, and I think we're just getting better as that as the game goes on. Even if we do lose, we learn a lot.
That's good. That's a good mentality to have. But I just want to go ahead and close this out here. After that first game, I'm sure y'all have some adoring fans in the chat. So is there anything you want to say to the people who've stuck around this long?
I know our sub mid was in there. Yorimitsu, he was flaming us for picking Kha'Zix like he always does. He flames us for basically doing anything. So thanks to him for always doing it. He always gives us shit, but that's good. We like that because it just helps us get better. For everybody else, I think this team is about as interesting as it gets. I think last season was just as interesting, basically swapping roles every other game. So I think this team's going to be basically the same amount of interesting. We int just the same. And we win literally the same, I think, against Cloud9 early last season. We got a backdoor 2 in a game that we definitely should have lost. So I think it's very much this team's spirit is just doing what isn't expected, and I think that's the fun part.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, thanks for the interview. It's been great having you, and good games today. You looked good.
Good games. Thank you.
All right, and we have coming on Bopes, the ADC from the Happy Canadians. Bopes, welcome to the desk, man.
Oh, hello.
Well, hello there, Bopes.
What's going on?
Now, Mr. Deathless in Game 2, how are you feeling right now?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit disappointed. I called my shot at the beginning of that game, saying I was gonna go 12-0, and I was 4 kills short.
That's pretty disappointing. Your team's got to be pretty upset with you, huh?
Yeah, they were flaming me after the game for sure.
Yeah.
No,
Now,
but in all seriousness, that felt really good. You know,
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's par for the course. You're a THC fan. You know we're gonna throw some games. That's how she goes.
most
but-
certainly. Now, with
Let's
that
be
said-
real. It feels good to know that it was just like a few key important moments that went south. But overall, we felt really solid. We had great communication, great macro play, playing proactively.
Yeah, all the buzzwords.
Dude, your
Yeah,
plosives are amazing. Sorry, I should be quiet, but the plosives on your mic are fantastic.
Yes, it's beautiful. Honestly,
I must absolutely agree.
Okay.
With that said, not to dwell on it too long, but what was going on in the comms during the end of that first game?
It was kind of chaos. We had that fight going on. I wasn't even sure if we were winning or not, to be honest. I was just hitting a Scion. And after the fact, yeah, I think half of us were just screaming about how we had won the fight. And the other half were like, wait, guys, wait. We're going to lose the game.
Yeah,
It was a rough one.
but you know what? You guys recovered. You came back in game 2. You showed that just because they could take that game off of you does not mean they could take the fighting spirit out of you. So good on you guys. Now, with that said, both Paulo and I really liked your draft changes going into game 2. Do you want to comment on what you guys were thinking when you were picking going into that second game?
We knew we wanted to prioritize the Caitlyn. It's just a strong pick in the meta right now, and it works well with our team. But we also knew that if they were going to pick it, we have the Ashe in the pocket. We were pretty happy with seeing their bans and noticing that they left open a lot of key stuff. It allowed us to play more aggressive on the top side. I guess we did play aggressive on the bot side too. I don't know.
you did for sure.
That wasn't the plan though.
Yeah, but it worked out in your favor. I mean, you ended deathless. So clearly, playing aggressive on the bot side was not any sort of overextension, given your gameplay in that second match. With that said, we really liked the Cassian pick, and what that changed in the mid lane. Really liked that you guys switched to a comp that could still pop off early in certain lanes, but also scaled a little better than your last comp. And we also noticed that you guys actually subbed mid laners between game 1 and game 2. Was there any particular reason for that?
I think we just wanted to try it out, see how it would go. Yeah, I don't know. A slightly different team comp, slightly different champion pool to work with.
Sure.
And yeah, I don't know. It did work out.
Yeah,
I would
so what
say
I'm hearing is,
the first
Go
game we were looking to go for the early Pantheon, if it went through, just to have an aggressive player in the mid lane who can make plays. And Kev played a great game. It's tough once you hit that late game point where we didn't quite bring it home fast enough. But I think it was effective compared to some scrims where we just kind of couldn't get anything done because we didn't have any mid lane presence. It felt really good to have a Pantheon there.
Yeah, and you guys definitely capitalized on it early. I think that was one of the things with your game 1 was that even though you lost, there's very little missed execution from you that really contributed to your loss. It's not like you weren't able to execute on your comp or around neutral objectives. you had it all down. It just fell through your fingers at the very end there. So, can't beat yourself up too much. But with that said, what I'm hearing is that you subbed out Kevin because he has allergies. And
Exactly.
that's the only reason.
Hmm.
There's nothing in the Constitution about taking somebody out of a game for playing with allergies.
No,
That's not discrimination.
yeah, just no rights for those with allergies. Is that what you're touting there, Bopes?
Yeah, and Kevin was busy cooking snakes.
Hold up. Wait, I gotta dig more into that. Kevin was cooking snakes?
Kevin eats snakes. It's just a fact.
Kevin, can
We
I
all
get some
have to come to terms
confirmation
with
on
it.
this in Twitch chat?
I'm also hearing that actually is discrimination. Ah, the Canadian Constitution. True.
Listen, we'll have a separate stream that won't have anything to do with League, and we're just going to really dive deep into whether or not Kevin eats snakes. We know two things. Kevin eats snakes, and Ev Dingus orders bacon and bean pizzas. Both horrifying.
It doesn't
Yeah.
sound that bad. It could
No,
be a
that's
lot
pretty
worse.
bad. That's
It
awful.
could be worse. It could be worse.
No, it could.
I feel bad because I feel like we're blocking Apollo from saying things actually relevant to the game by talking about Kevin's allergies. But
Oh, dude, you're totally fine. You got this one.
yeah, do you guys have any other questions for Bopes?
I was just going to say, Bopes, you got anything else you want to say to your fans out there? You guys went one-on-one on the day. We're looking forward to see more from the Happy Canadians later on this season. Anything you'd like to throw out there to the fans?
Yeah, you seem like Twitch chat's favorite.
Yeah, Piltover's Playboy.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I just really want to say love the Twitch chat, love the memes, keep them coming. Ellis hit me with a pants.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, man. And hopefully we'll see you later in the season.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope I don't stop playing. That would suck.
Yeah, boy, that would be a twist. For sure.
Plot
Certainly
twist.
not one that we're lining up.
No, that's not in this season's script. For sure.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on here tonight, guys.
Absolutely. Have a good rest of your night, man.
You too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our stream for tonight. Just wanted to take a sec to say we've got a week stacked with games, and we're going to try. This is a called shot. We're going to do our best to stream every night this week. It might be too tall an order for a low-budget LCS like us, but we'll see. Tomorrow, we're going to be streaming Serenity Esports vs. Internal Tilt at 8:30 p.m. EST. And we'll talk more about that in the Discord, anyone, but we'll have some more fantastic Clown Fiestas for you tomorrow night. And Apollo and Olnoname, fantastic job. Thanks so much for casting tonight, guys.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
my
thank
pleasure.
you.
I love being able to do this kind of stuff. So
Hell yeah. Well, we look forward to hearing more from both of you. And ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful rest of your night. We will see you on the flip side.